Why do the rich seem to grow richer while the rest struggle endlessly? Why do some men command empires with empty vaults, while others go ignored despite their wealth? This video will uncover the truth Machiavelli knew centuries ago. Wealth is a weapon, but only in the hands of the wise. Stay until the end, and you will not only understand how money works, but how it must be used to gain influence, command respect, and avoid ruin. So, you believe money gives you power, that gold in your coffers means you are secure. That coins stacked in vaults mean influence is yours by right. You are mistaken. Listen carefully, because this is the first and greatest illusion men fall prey to in their pursuit of wealth. Power does not reside in the coin itself. It lives in your control over it. And most men, nearly all, never truly control their wealth. They are owned by it, chained by their fear of losing it, exposed by their need to display it, ruined by their desire to grow it without purpose. The man who worships his gold becomes a servant to it. He becomes risk-averse, timid. He hesitates when boldness is required. He chooses peace when war is needed. He chooses silence when command must be spoken. You see it every day. The businessman who grew rich but now fears taxes, fears scandal, fears competitors, fears the court of public opinion. He will not act unless he is certain of victory. And in that hesitation, he loses his advantage. Mediocre men grow rich by chance, but they lose control of that wealth by nature. Their instinct is to hoard it, bury it, boast of it, not to wield it. Wealth must be treated as a sword, not a treasure chest. You draw it when the time is right. You strike to weaken your enemy or secure an ally. Then you sheath it, not because you fear losing it, but because you know it is yours to use again when needed. A prince, whether of state or of business, must understand this to rule effectively. He must not be in love with wealth. He must be above it. He must see it as a lever to move men, not as a symbol of personal success. There is no point in being rich if your riches do not bend others to your will. Look to the bankers of Florence. Some wield gold like kings. They fund wars, sponsor marriages, decide elections from behind closed doors. Yet you will not see their names carved into marble, nor their portraits framed in the halls of palaces. But make no mistake, they are more powerful than dukes. Why? Because they control the wealth. They decide where it goes, who receives it, who is denied. They own access, not just possession. This is the true secret. Possessing gold is one thing. Controlling its direction is another. Ask yourself, do you guide your wealth or do you let it guide you? When you earn money, do you pause and ask, how can this be used to bend others to my purpose? Or do you spend it like a drunk noble at a feast, on comforts, on vanity, on pleasures that weaken your edge? Do you invest in what gives you control, or in what gives you applause? Do you use your resources to create dependency, so that others must come to you begging, negotiating, needing? Or do you spend like the masses, pouring gold into things that rust, fade, and rot? A man who controls his wealth does not simply save. He strategizes. He places money like a general places troops. Not everywhere, but precisely, purposefully. To protect, to intimidate, to grow stronger. The merchant who invests in a competitor to learn his secrets. The noble who marries into a struggling house to inherit its land. The prince who pardons a debtor, only to secure loyalty for a future betrayal. These men understand wealth. The rest, they are nothing more than coin purses waiting to be cut open. And understand this, too. Control over wealth is not only about your own gold. It is also about your control over other people's money. A truly powerful man rarely spends his own fortune. He uses the coffers of others. He builds alliances funded by someone else's desperation. He leads armies paid by foreign subsidies. He builds influence paid for by donors who believe they are buying a favor, unaware they are being bought in return. This is the kind of wealth that cannot be taxed, cannot be counted. It is invisible to the treasury but felt everywhere. Most people will never understand this. They are taught to work, save, and hope. They are told that if they collect enough money, they will have security, respect, freedom. But the moment they stop earning, that respect fades. The moment they lose a contract, that freedom vanishes. Because they never had control, only income. Only access to wealth, not command over it. And there is a difference. To control money, you must detach from its emotional grip. You must see it not as yours, not as part of your identity, but as a force you command, like a general commands troops. Let others fall in love with their riches. Let them chase luxury, status, admiration. You must pursue leverage. What does that mean? It means you use your wealth to get what others want without them realizing what they gave up. It means turning coin into influence, gold into silence, debt into dependence. If you understand this, if you can learn to control your money instead of serving it, you are no longer simply rich. You are dangerous. You are sovereign. You are Machiavellian. Now listen closely, because the illusion of wealth is even more powerful than the real thing. Do not be so foolish as to think that people respond to what is real. They never have. They never will. What they respond to is what they perceive. You can be poor and powerful if you appear rich, and you can be rich and powerless if you appear weak. This is the second law of money, and it is far more dangerous than the first. The illusion of wealth, its appearance, its costume, its echo in the minds of others, is often more useful than actual coin. Why? Because most people cannot tell the difference. They are trained to respond to signs of power, not substance. Dress well, and they assume success. Speak confidently, and they assume control. Move with calm, and they assume wealth, even when your purse is empty. And once they believe you are rich, they will behave accordingly. They will offer favors. They will grant opportunities. They will fear your displeasure. They will measure themselves beneath you. The merchant who appears prosperous attracts more business than the one who is truly prosperous but modest. The noble who throws grand feasts on borrowed coin is treated with more reverence than the one who saves quietly and eats alone. The ruler who builds monuments while his treasury rots is feared longer than the one who balances books but inspires no awe. Perception is power, and power is control. Therefore, the illusion of wealth is wealth, if it gives you command. Do not misunderstand. I am not telling you to lie without skill. I am telling you to shape belief like a sculptor shapes marble. The illusion must be executed with care. Too much extravagance, and you will attract leeches. Too little, and you will be ignored. You must learn the art of silent display, a well-made cloak, a timely donation, a carriage that looks expensive but is rented, a ring that is inherited but gleams like gold. These things create a narrative, and that narrative speaks louder than your balance sheet. You must master the image of abundance, not because you need applause. Only fools seek applause, but because you need obedience, respect, fear, if necessary. When you appear wealthy, people assume you are competent. They assume you are lucky. They assume you are protected by forces they cannot challenge. They will not ask how you got there. They will not verify. They will nod, bow, flatter, and offer their loyalty because they hope to gain something from your presence alone. Now ask yourself, who is more powerful? The man who owns 1,000 coins, or the man whom 10,000 others believe owns 1,000,000? The first man is limited by reality. He must count every coin, guard every purse, calculate every risk. But the second man, he commands favors without payment. He gains access without bribes. He enters rooms that require no invitation, because his image opens doors before he even knocks. The illusion buys time. It buys trust. It buys you the freedom to move, while others remain trapped in cautious truth. What is credit, after all, if not a belief in your future wealth? What is reputation, if not the assumption that you have succeeded before? The world runs not on gold, but on the assumption of gold. The smell of wealth, the sound of it in your voice, the way you make others feel poorer in your presence. Even kings are not immune. They wear robes stitched with borrowed silk. They sit on thrones funded by merchants, but they walk as if the world is already theirs, and so the world obeys. And here lies your advantage. You do not need to be truly wealthy to create this effect. You only need to understand the symbols of wealth and display them sparingly but deliberately. You must make others believe you do not worry about money, even when you do. You must make them feel you have more than they can ever count, even when you only have enough. A man who appears rich receives better treatment in court. He is seated at better tables. He is introduced to better contacts. He is invited to better schemes. And from these appearances, real money often follows. What begins as illusion becomes reality. But beware. Once others believe in your wealth, they will test you. Some will flatter you. Others will try to expose you. Both are dangerous. The key is to maintain the illusion without overreaching. You must never seem desperate to prove it. Do not scream your success. Whisper it and let others do the screaming for you. A prince who boasts of his fortune seems insecure, but a prince who carries himself as though fortune is beneath him, he becomes legendary. He becomes untouchable. Think of the Medici. They were merchants, not monarchs. But their illusion of magnificence made them kings in everything but title. Their wealth became myth, their power undeniable, and yet they were never the richest, only the most believed to be rich. So I ask you, which do you desire more? The coin in your hand or the world's belief that you hold the vault? Because one will feed you today. The other will open every door tomorrow. There is a rot that grows in the hearts of men once they believe they have enough. It begins quietly, almost invisibly. A slower walk, a gentler voice, a growing desire for comfort, for safety, for approval. This is the disease of softness, and it begins the moment a man grows rich and forgets how he became so. Men who rise from hardship often begin with sharp minds and sharper instincts. They take risks, make enemies, suffer hunger, endure mockery. They learn to deceive, to negotiate, to manipulate. They learn that to survive, they must be ruthless when required, unpredictable when challenged, and cold when others beg warmth. But give that same man 10 years of luxury and watch what happens. He begins to hesitate. He avoids conflict. He surrounds himself with flatterers. He forgets how to think like the hungry man he once was. He becomes soft, and softness invites death. You can see this truth carved into history. The sons of great kings are rarely great themselves. Why? Because they inherit comfort, not struggle. They inherit gold, not cunning. They inherit obedience from others, but never learn how to command it through fear or respect. They grow up in silk. They eat with silver. They are praised before they speak, and obeyed before they act. So when the time comes to make a hard decision, to punish a traitor, to crush a rebellion, to betray an ally for the good of the state, they fail. They cannot stomach cruelty, even when it is necessary, and the kingdom begins to rot. A prince who has not tasted desperation becomes weak. He believes kindness will win loyalty. He believes mercy will bring gratitude. He believes his wealth makes him untouchable. It does not. It makes him a target. Because those who live in poverty, who live beneath him, do not love him for his riches. They envy him. They whisper about his softness. They test the borders of his strength. And when they see he will not strike, they strike first. This is why wealth, if not paired with discipline, becomes poison. It dulls the instinct to fight. It blinds the mind to danger. It seduces a man into believing that his fortune is permanent, that nothing can touch him now. But fortune is a cruel mistress. She favors the bold, not the careful. She dances with the man who dares, not the one who waits. And the rich man who grows too soft to act decisively loses her, just as quickly as he gained her. Softness is not only a matter of physical luxury, it is a matter of thought. A soft mind avoids pain, avoids confrontation, avoids responsibility. It clings to reputation and fears public scorn. But the man who has tasted hardship fears nothing but irrelevance. He does not ask if others will approve. He acts and lets the world adjust to his will. Now listen carefully. Not all rich men are soft, but almost all comfortable men are. The difference is in how they view their wealth. The wise man uses wealth as a sword and a shield. He trains his instincts as if he were still poor. He sharpens his thinking with enemies, not admirers. He builds strength not in gold, but in control. Over people, over information, over timing. He does not indulge freely. He rewards himself with purpose. And when threatened, he is willing to burn his own comforts to destroy his enemy. The soft man cannot do this. He builds his palace and forgets the exits. He creates a life so comfortable that any threat becomes unbearable. A scandal terrifies him. A rumor shakes him. A minor loss makes him desperate. Because he no longer knows how to suffer. He has built his identity around never needing to. This is why kingdoms fall. Why corporations rot from within. Why legacies are lost in a single generation. The hard men create it. The soft men inherit it. And then the wolves return to feast on what remains. You can see it in any family of wealth. The founder was relentless. He was mocked, challenged, underestimated. And because of this, he became sharp. But his children, they are praised for doing nothing. Given credit for decisions they never made. They are protected, pampered, and slowly, quietly, paralyzed by ease. Eventually they become afraid to move without approval. Afraid to offend, afraid to risk. And when the time comes to act, they look around and find they no longer remember how. This is the danger of softness. It does not kill you suddenly. It kills you quietly by making you fragile. The rich man who cannot endure discomfort is already broken. He just doesn't know it yet, and when he is tested, he will not fight. He will bargain. He will kneel. He will surrender. Because he cannot imagine a life without luxury. He cannot imagine losing what he once lived without. But the man who remembers hunger, the man who welcomes discomfort like an old friend, he will survive every storm, because softness never took his soul. Do not admire the man who hoards. Do not envy the one who stacks gold behind locked doors. He is not powerful. He is paralyzed. He believes that safety lies in numbers. Coin after coin, saved, untouched, guarded. He believes that wealth must be protected, locked away like a secret. But wealth that does not move becomes useless, and a man who hoards becomes irrelevant. Power does not belong to the one who possesses the most. It belongs to the one who directs the most. The true prince of wealth is not the collector, it is the conductor. The one who knows where the money flows, where it must flow, and who controls its passage like a dam controls the river. Do you understand what this means? It means the banker who lends is more powerful than the merchant who saves. It means the man who pays others to speak, to build, to spread ideas, to rise and to fall. He is the master of the game. The rest are simply players trying to stay on the board. Money is a force. And like all forces, it must be directed. If you merely hold it, it will not grow. If you simply admire it, it will not obey. But if you learn to channel it, to make it work when you are asleep, to make it fight when you are silent, to make it command when you are absent, then you have become something far greater than wealthy. You have become dangerous. The king who taxes wisely holds the peasants in check. The lord who funds a rebellion across the sea weakens his rival without drawing his own sword. The ruler who issues payment to both sides of a conflict gains influence that no treaty could ever buy. This is not about generosity. This is about control. Money must be placed where it buys something more valuable than itself: a favor, a fear, a secret, a silence, a signature, a soul. Most men accumulate because they are afraid. They imagine some storm will come and destroy what they've built. So they keep it all locked away, unmoving, untouched, cold. But what they forget is this: a river that is dammed for too long begins to stink. It breeds disease. It floods the wrong banks. And eventually, it breaks its walls and destroys the very man who thought he could contain it. If your wealth does not flow through the right channels, it will betray you. You will begin to fear your own fortune. You will grow paranoid. You will make decisions not based on strength, but on the fear of losing what you've stored. But the man who directs his money, who uses it as a tool, not as a trophy, he becomes free. Ask yourself who relies on you, who depends on your payments, your gifts, your approval, who cannot move forward unless you allow it. If your answer is no one, then your wealth is ornamental, and ornaments can be stolen, broken, or ignored. But if your answer is many, if you fund the voices of the street, the pens of the writer, the hands of the artisan, the campaign of the politician, the ambitions of the warlord, then you are not simply rich. You are a force that shapes outcomes without stepping into the light. This is why the invisible rich are always more powerful than the visible ones. Because while others flash gold and wait for applause, the true Machiavellian mind is busy moving pieces behind the curtain. The appearance of wealth means little if the world does not move when you speak. True influence comes from weaving yourself into the flow of resources so tightly that if you were to pull back, the system would collapse. A man who controls the flow becomes the center of necessity. He is not loved, but he is needed. He is not praised, but he is consulted. He is not visible, but he is obeyed. You must become irreplaceable, not by what you own, but by what you move. When a powerful man falls, observe carefully what happens. Does the world shudder? Do alliances tremble? Do projects stall? If not, then he was never powerful. He was only wealthy. Real wealth leaves a vacuum when it vanishes, because it was flowing, sustaining, feeding, shaping. Control the direction. Decide who eats, who thrives, who fails. Let others believe they own their success, but make sure you are the one who made it possible. And never let them forget it. The art is not in giving too much, only enough. Enough to make someone lean. Enough to create debt, emotional or financial. Enough to become necessary, but never to the point where they can stand on their own. Remember, dependency is the purest form of power, and money is its most elegant leash. Do not cling to gold. Cling to the veins of commerce, the arteries of power. Cling to the pulse of movement, not the silence of hoarding. Because in the end, gold that sits still is dead. But gold that moves on your command becomes something greater than currency. It becomes your voice, your shadow, your unseen hand. And with that hand, you shape the fate of others without ever lifting your own. So now you see, money is not the destination. It is the carriage. And you, if you are wise, are the driver. To seek wealth for comfort is to fall asleep at the wheel. To chase riches without purpose is to place a crown upon your head made of wax, melting with the first heat of misfortune. Real power lies in control, not just of gold, but of what gold makes possible. Control over perception, control over desire, control over the flow of fortunes that pass through your hands into the hearts of men. Never forget what I've told you. Wealth is only power when used with intent. Appearing rich often outweighs being rich. Comfort breeds decay, and decay invites your downfall. And money hoarded is dead. Only when it moves does it breathe life into your influence. Be feared for your reach, not your riches. Be known for your silence, not your shine. And when others speak of you, let them say this: he had wealth. But more than that, he had command. This is how money works, not as the world teaches it, but as I, Machiavelli, have always understood it. Now, what will you do with what you know?